This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
I'm Nicole Khalil, and on this episode of This Is Woman's Work, we're going to dive into a topic that, frankly, most of us suck at. And I say this with love, but generally speaking, you and I are really bad at this. And like most things we're bad at, we avoid it, we don't enjoy it, and we're pretty freaking awkward when we're forced to do it. To be clear, I have a great deal of empathy because I suck at this too. Like, it makes me sweaty. I lose the ability to form coherent sentences, and I often end up either overcompensating and sounding like a total asshole or holding back and coming across like elevator music, which is fine, but nobody cares enough to listen. And mostly on the other side of those moments, I end up wishing I could have a do-over, which is funny because evidence says I'm not likely to do all that much better the second time around. And it's not totally our fault that we suck at this. Very few of us have been taught this skill. In fact, most of us have been discouraged, disincentivized, and even punished when we've attempted it. It's a skill that carries very different expectations for women than it does for men. If you or I attempted to do it exactly like the men in our lives, we'd be quickly judged and likely shamed. We see examples of this pretty much everywhere, in the medias, in sports, professional settings, politics, education, and the list goes on and on. Are you feeling curious? Okay, I know the title of this episode is a dead giveaway, but I think when I say it, you're going to start nodding your head if you haven't already. I'm talking about the skill of self-promotion, the act of celebrating your wins, the art of bragging. I don't know about you, but I'm often my own worst hype person. So, how do we share our gifts, stand up for our value, and become our own best promoter? Well, friends, I don't know, which is why I've invited Tiffany Hauser to be our guest. Tiffany is an executive coach, leadership facilitator, and founder of Evolve and creator of Self-Worth Advantage. She's on a mission to transform workplace insecurities into self-worth, trust, and impact. A former SoulCycle instructor and Michigan alum, Tiffany brings a mix of expertise, passion, and practicality to help us all step into our power. So, Tiffany, thank you for being our guest. And I have to start by asking, do most women struggle with bragging, or is it just a me thing?
Oh my gosh. And I love how you brought men in. We all struggle with this. It's not something we're actually told not to do this, to be quite honest.
Okay, so if it's true that we all sort of struggle with this in varying degrees, why does bragging get a bad rap? Like, why are we taught not to do it?
Yeah, that's such a great question because I think it goes back to just that word in and of itself. So, the people that I work with, and part of my methodology and how I work is around language. So we want to notice and be very intentional about the words that we're using. And when I look at the word brag, it just right now, like you said, you get sweaty and it makes you uncomfortable. Same for me. And it's just this word that makes, most people think of arrogant or self-absorbed, full of yourself, no self-awareness, all those things. But if we take that word brag and then we just slightly reframe it into a new word or shift it into a new word like acknowledge, recognize, Or fill in the blank. I'm sure anyone listening probably thought of, one or two others, but just those two, acknowledge or recognize. So if we were to say, can you acknowledge yourself for something, or can you recognize, fill in the blank about yourself? Just notice that, just Nicole, if you're thinking about this, notice like your physiology and your nervous system starts to just calm down, and it starts to take your mindset, if you will, or your internal thought process into a new space, a space that may have even put a smile on your face, or may have put you in a mindful, thoughtful place to actually think about it, rather than what most of us do: throw it away, toss it away. No, 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 not me. Or, a former version of me, if I were to be complimented or, told to talk about myself, I might say one or two things and then throw it over to you and start, complimenting you and shining the light on you and making it so much brighter as to dim the light on me. And, you had said something about research shows that even if we, try to do something again, we're most likely to do it the same, which has some truth to it. Yet my work and my role as a coach is to support you with taking those consistent steps to keep, reframing, reshifting, whether it's your language or your words or your internal thought process around whatever it is that you're up against. And in this case, it's bragging, which again, we can look at as acknowledging or recognizing ourselves.
Okay, so several thoughts pop through my head. First, yes, we're likely to repeat the same pattern unless we reframe and practice, right? Which is where you come in. And I think, for all of us, it's just the acknowledgement. If we want to get good at anything, we got to practice. When you talked about acknowledging and recognizing, you're right. It's a completely different feeling and a different approach than bragging. And probably just the word needs to be tossed, not the act, right? We just need to reframe it. The word celebrating also popped into my head while you were talking.
Ooh,
I think that that's
yes.
one I can get behind. Let's celebrate. So that leads me to my next question, which is why do you either feel or know based on research we've been taught not to celebrate ourselves or to acknowledge our accomplishments in front of people? Like, why aren't we comfortable? Why aren't we constantly telling people and celebrating ourselves and what we do and our gifts and all the things? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. And there's many different directions I can go in, but the one that just popped in my head was community and tribe. And so when we are in a community together, and even going way back to when we all began, that we were tribal creatures, and we still are to some degree, that we want to be part of a collective. We want to be part of a community. And when we start to stand out as one, that might not fit into our survival, and it might not fit into our definition or our concept of community or tribe or team or organization, whatever, however you want to look, family for some of us, circle of friends for others. And so when we think about that, we were all, let's go back to the tribe, the hunter and gatherer. We had our roles. And so it's not that the hunters and gatherers, one group was better than the other. We complemented each other. We needed each other. We kind of balanced and integrated together to, create a holistic or comprehensive way to live and survive together. And so when we go back to the word brag or self promotion, it's kind of like, oh no, oh no, oh no, I am separating myself from the tribe, from the community, from the team. Or, what most of us do, specifically women, is I'm now putting myself above or ahead, and I don't want to be in that uncomfortable spot, because again, like what I said with brag, it is very commonly associated with arrogance, superiority, uh, being vain or egocentric. And, I could talk to you for days about the ego and egocentric, because that's really where I begin my coaching. Because our ego is located, for the viewers or the listeners who can't see, I'm touching the back of my head, where the head and neck connect. That's where your brainstem is. And that's where your ego lives. And it actually was the first part of you that came to be. That's how you came to be, is through your ego and your brainstem. And so in that is your identity. And so our identity, going back to what I said earlier about community and tribe, those are still the three basic things we need, human beings need for survival, is love, safety, and belonging. And so all of those are connected to other people. They're not, I mean,
Yeah, there's an internal component to it,
yeah,
but we are wired for connection. Like there's no
yeah.
ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
Yeah. And intellectually, we could all say we can get those from ourselves, which we can and we do. And a big body of my work, Self-Worth Advantage, is about that. Yet the foundation is going way back to our ancestry and where we all began.
Mhm.
That our survival instinct is to be part of something, to belong to something. And so, yeah, it's just this word that has been ultra associated with something bad that makes us look, like we will not be accepted, like we will not fit in or belong. And so we tamp it down, suppress it, and then, we'll get into this. That's what causes so many issues, specifically with us women, and specifically with us women in the workplace or professionally, whether we work for an organization or work for ourselves. We have created so many stories. 99.9% of them are false because we have tampered down our self-promotion and this sense of bragging, celebrating, acknowledging ourselves. So what happens is we are fueling the story of we don't deserve it. We're not smart enough. We're not good enough. We're not experienced enough. We aren't um, supposed to do this. Like somebody else is supposed to do this. So we make up all these stories that don't really put us in the right arena or put us on the right path to really follow what it is that we are truly here to create, do, be, whatever,
Yeah.
fulfill, however you want to end that sentence.
Okay, so my brain is firing in all different directions and I have a series of questions. But before I jump into those, let me ask this one. With this level of discomfort, with this need to belong and all of that, what is the value in self promotion, celebrating, and bragging? Like, why should we be doing this if it feels so
Ooh,
risky? And by the way, I do
yes.
think we should be doing this. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't, but I want to hear from you. Why is this so important? Why do we need to get over ourselves and like learn the skill?
Yeah. Number one thing, you deserve it. You are special. You inherently are worthy, valuable. You are loved. You are lovable. You are unique. You are fill in the blank, however you see yourself. That is who you are. You know that because that's what you feel and that's what you want. That's what you desire. And if you do not express that, share that with the world, how are we supposed to know this? All the richness, all the juiciness, all the components, all the elements, all the pieces that are you. Because we all know in some way, shape, or form, we only know what is expressed to us. I cannot jump inside your body, Nicole. I cannot tap into your wavelength yet, but I can't get all the way in there. And so, how I learn and how I understand you is through you sharing verbally or written, however you do it, pieces and parts about you. And you know what, Nicole, this reminds me of dating. I'm not dating anymore, but it just reminds me of like when you go on, or let's put ourselves in the context of the interview space. When we go into an interview, and whether we're interviewing for a job or to land a client, they don't know anything about us until we share, until we present, until we pitch, until we express who we are and all these things. And all that's happening up until that point are interpretations, our stories, our judgments. None of them are right or wrong or bad or good, but they're just out there until the actual data comes in. And only you have the actual data about you. And so the value is you are sharing your worth and your value. You're putting it out there in the world so that you don't have to deal with the converse experience or the opposite experience, which is, like I said earlier, suppressing it or tamping it down, which then pokes holes in your self-worth, in your self-value. And now you start questioning yourself. You start doubting yourself. You start feeling like an imposter for no other reason except you chose that. That's what you chose. Instead of letting it out, expressing, or just being, going back to the compliment aspect of this, being able to receive a compliment, that'll tell you a lot about your self-worth and your value as well. And it's part of our self-promotion is receiving the accolade, receiving the acknowledgement, receiving the recognition, receiving the celebration. And not only from other people, but also receiving it from ourselves. Because sometimes we do say things, but we say it to get out of the situation or to move on. Like, I don't know if anybody's been in a mastermind or like a networking event and you have to go around and say something about yourself and you say a couple things and just to get the spotlight off of you.
Right. Yeah.
So there, the value first is, really expressing yourself.
Mhm.
But really the bigger value is so that the opposite doesn't happen to you and you start falling deeper and deeper into that trap of low self-esteem, low confidence, imposter feelings, self-doubt, needing external validation. Playing that comparison game that, never
Yeah.
works out.
Right.
So that's a piece of it.
You know how we're supposed to drink a bazillion ounces of water every day? Cute idea, but between work, life, and trying to remember what day it is, hydration doesn't always make the cut, which is why I love Cure. Cure hydration packs make it simple. Plant-based electrolytes, no added sugar, just 25 calories, and it hydrates better than water alone. And you know I love me some efficiency. My favorite flavor is lemonade. It's light, clean, and doesn't taste like somebody dumped a candy store into your water bottle. I use it on long recording days when I'm traveling or any day I hit noon and realize that I'm running purely on caffeine. And when I need more than hydration, like pre-workout where I need all the help I can get, I grab Cure Energy. It's got natural caffeine and electrolytes that get me moving and help me survive the part where I question all my life choices mid-workout. Staying hydrated isn't just about drinking water. You need electrolytes too. That's why I love Cure. It's clean, it tastes great, and it actually works. And for This Is Women's Work listeners, you can get 20% off your first order at curehydration.com/woman's work with code woman's work. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know that you heard about Cure right here. It really helps support the show. Don't just drink more water. Upgrade it with Cure.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Okay. So I want to go into some tactical elements of this. And my brain thinks that there is a likelihood to jump to the external part, like what we say to people, how we say it, that type of thing. But my instinct is that there is first and foremost an internal element of this, right? Like what we say to ourselves about ourselves matters. So am I off base? And if not, any recommendations of how to begin the internal part of celebrating, acknowledging, and recognizing?
Yeah, you're 100% on point. And in my body of work, Self-Worth Advantage, that's where we start with you. because, there is no external until we handle and really reconcile and understand our internal experience, which I call our internal thought process. And really, it starts by understanding, first identifying the pieces in your internal thought process that are working for you and the pieces that are not working for you. And, we have some ways to do that. There's like worksheets, there's of course all that stuff. But really the basis is understanding your self-worth is only controlled by you. Because just think of the word self-worth. How does it start? It starts with self. Nobody can impact your self-worth except you. And here's another thing to understand, that there is no high self-worth or low self-worth. It is either you are grounded in your self-worth or you are choosing to compromise your self-worth, which is, some of the things that I shared just a moment ago. And really this internal piece, it's first identifying what's working, what's not about the way you see yourself. And then this is the key, understanding that piece. Because a lot of, I work with a lot of type A, executive women, startup founders that are, scaling fast. And once they identify, they want to go right into step 3. And, people don't want to stay in or experience step 2, which is really understanding what you have identified. So a lot of coaches and maybe some consultants, they do discovery and then they want to move into solution, which there's nothing wrong or bad about that. But for me as a coach, my job is to create transformation for you. My job is to create sustainable change for you. And if you do not understand where, what is happening to you and, where it came from, I can get you to the transformation, but it's not going to sustain itself. You're going to go right back because you didn't understand what's causing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is creating, these moments where I am confident, where I do believe in myself. So that piece of understanding is it takes a lot of mindful reflection, like time to yourself. And really some of these exercises seem so simple when I start taking, they're like, that's it. I'm like, yeah. And isn't that, and you don't need a coach to do like 90% of these things,
Right.
but we choose not to because of the conditioning of this is the way it is. And I just want to grind. I want to get the promotion. I want to, attract more clients. I want to build my business or I want to build my team. And so we stay in the tactics, as you said, of the external factors, and we forget how valuable and how necessary the internal tactics, I'm doing air quotes for listeners, are. So yeah, it's a matter of taking a look at, and one simple exercise that I start people off with is just writing 50 things that you are worthy of or that make you valuable. And so, it's not that I'm worthy of a mansion. It's not stuff like that. It's more of I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of peace. I'm worthy of ease. I'm worthy of joy. Things that are more the things that we actually want in life, not the tangible things, but the feelings and the whole like mindset that we're looking for.
Right.
Because people think when I have more money, I'm going to be joyful and I'm going to have all this freedom. Yet, why not just have the freedom? Why not just have the joy? And then in that, work on, attracting the money, generating the money, and start with joy right now. Because joy, peace, love, all that stuff are choices you can make right now. And I know that might sound a little woo-woo or like out there for people. Yet when you work with somebody that can keep you contextually in a container, as we call it, where you are unpacking, peeling back these layers so that you identify and understand them. Once you get to the next phase, which is reconciling or resolving these issues or these thoughts that you have, your agility and your ability to like navigate and pull yourself into confidence, empowerment, whatever it is, just goes up way higher. And you're able to just move through all these situations and say, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Or team, I just landed a big job, and not making something external, but I landed a big job because I actually sat and listened. And when it got uncomfortable, when they were about to walk away, I got creative and I thought of something else instead of just talking about the numbers and, the pitch deck or whatever that is, getting into the feeling of it and how you shifted in the moment to create a new outcome.
So, Tiffany, everything you're saying aligns with what I know to be true about confidence, which is my area of expertise, which is first, nobody can give or take away your confidence. It's yours, right? Like, as you said, with self-worth. The idea that it is an internal thing, and we are so quick to jump to the external ways to, show people that we're confident. But similar to what you're saying, the challenge is staying with the internal. And I couldn't agree more about one of my coaches, Lisa Kelman, always talked about be, do, have. You know, Lisa? Oh my gosh, how funny.
Lisa is one of my mentors too. I love her and her partner, Lynn Sheridan. I love them both. They
amazing.
are
And they've both
incredible.
been guests.
Yeah, they are
Okay.
incredible women. Yes.
Yeah. So the concept of be, do, have, right? Which is exactly what you're saying. Be free or be joy. And then what comes from it, whereas we've been taught so much have, do, be, right? Like we need to have the money, then we can do the things, then we'll be that way. And it's like, no, it's ass backwards. So everything you're saying, checking all the boxes for me. You said earlier, some insight might be in how we receive compliments. And you gave an example of just saying thank you. It's really quite simple, yet a lot of us mess that up. What are some examples of things we might do when we receive a compliment that we should begin practicing our way out of, right? Dismissing the compliment, undermining it. Give us some examples.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I did a whole workshop on this, and man, people got real, talk about sweaty. They got sweaty fast. Because you're right. The thing we naturally do is we may say thank you, but then we'll say, your dress is beautiful too. And we're not really receiving that. So it's an intentional receive of thank you. I appreciate you, or I appreciate that. Or when I was learning this, Nicole, I literally had to say it. Thank you. I received that. And it was massively uncomfortable to talk that way. Yet that was part of my reframing and my reconditioning and me redesigning myself to receive. Because I wasn't just learning how to receive compliments, I was actually learning how to receive love and receive abundance, because I didn't have a framework for that. And I was so used to just conquering, being great at what I did and creating, but I was never up until that point, I was not used to, or I didn't have the space to receive it. And so in that lack of receiving, or that missing component of receiving, it would go away because I would sabotage. I would do that. So what worked for me was thank you. I received that. And then really, if you want to take that a step further, thank you. I love this dress. It makes me feel beautiful, confident. It makes me feel in charge. It makes me feel sassy, whatever that dress, and of course we're talking about something tangible. But think about when you're on an interview and somebody just says wow, I'm really impressed by your work here. When you say thank you, are you actually receiving that, or are you ready to just answer the next question? Because in an interview, I coach my clients when something like that is said. I'm impressed with, all of the things that you accomplished at company Y. Thank you so much. What exactly, stands out the most? Or thank you. And I would love to share about one of the, just really getting into it and receiving the accolade or the acknowledgement, and not letting it be this ricochet, or this, I don't know why a trampoline just came into my head, but we are so used to bouncing in and then popping it right back out, where you don't let it land in and receive it. And just think about that visually. And the listeners, think about that visually. You're receiving all this love, all this acknowledgement from so many different people in your life. Even when people smile at you, that is a sign of feedback, of love, joy. Something just was generated there. Every time you receive it, intentionally and authentically receive it, you are adding to your bank, your worthy bank, your value bank. And not that this bank gets bigger or whatever. It's just a matter that when the road ahead gets rockier or stormier, that you have more to keep you grounded in your self-worth. Because again, it's not high self-worth. There is no evaluation of self-worth. It's just, are you in it or not? And the more you receive, it's like cement and concrete, like locking you in so you cannot choose to compromise your own self-worth. Because again, it is very easy. Our conditioning is very set up for us to compromise our self-worth.
Yeah.
Nope, don't like that feeling. And just think about that. The reason it's so easy is because of our comfort zone. So remember our ego back here. It's nothing wrong or bad that our ego has our identity and it wants certain things. It wants us to be comfortable. It doesn't want anything to change. It doesn't want us to be outside of it or uncomfortable. So it brings us back. So when we go outside and we start to be in the spotlight, it wants to pull us back in. And really just think of the time we're living in now. It is so spotlight oriented with social media. I mean, people are on, the wildest thing are all the little kids that are like, I want to do a video. I want to teach my friends how to blow the best bubble and then catch it. I'm like, look at you. If you would have said that to me when I was 8, I'd be like, no, 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 do not put me on camera.
Right.
So there's a lot to unpack there and look at.
Totally. I'll also add, I loved even the trampoline analogy. I loved we aren't just receiving a compliment, we're receiving love and paying attention to how we're receiving it. Because as you were talking, I felt that I can't be the only one who does this, but it's an internal thing that happens. We may say thank you, but in our brain, we say, yeah, but, right? Like, yeah, this is a nice dress, but, or yeah, I accomplished those things, but, and we do that to ourselves. It's like, shut up about the buts, right?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because when I coach people, because I have a whole component called the language lab, and but is one of the words. So I reflect back to them, everything you say after, or everything you said before, but just you threw it in the garbage. You just erased it because you said, oh, thank you. But your dress is beautiful too. Or you deserve, you're also, a great mom. And it's like, that all can be true, but you just erased your, some people call them flowers. I love that, by the way. Like a former collaborator of mine said that, and I was like, oh, I love that, flowers. But you're erasing all that deposit into your bank, all that love and joy that someone gave to you. And research and science shows that giving is also, it's something that gives people joy, giving you compliments, giving you joy by letting you know, giving you feedback that you're beautiful, that you're a great mom, that you are very talented, you are very funny. Receive that, because you're also giving somebody joy by receiving it. You're giving them the light that they gave right back to you. So rather than erasing it or smashing that light on the ground or blowing it out, receive it.
Okay, my last question is around maybe some tactical things or things we may want to keep in mind as we practice the art of acknowledging, recognizing, celebrating ourselves. So I hesitate because I don't want to take it to the external, but like one thing I know that has worked for me, and it aligned perfectly with your idea of wanting to belong, is I have what I call front row friends. Not all of my friends are front row friends, and not, everybody is meant to be, but there are friends who get equally, if not more, excited for me when something big happens. And so like that's a good place for me to practice the acknowledging, the celebrating, because my front row friends are going to be all over it. So that's like an example of a tactic. Get yourself some front row friends, or identify who your front row friends are. Any other tactics that you might recommend for practicing getting better at this skill?
Yes. And by the way, I may have to borrow that.
Please.
That filled me up with some joy. I'm like, oh, that is it's fun too, front row friend. Again, language nerd over here.
Same.
But yeah, so the real something simple, just write down the last 3 compliments someone gave you and unpack what if anything made me uncomfortable about this. What about this is true? What about it's not true? And really write down next to it how you can receive it moving forward. And then the final question would be, are you open to going back and receiving it? Hey, I know last month you recognized that I was doing a great job with the kids, or, I was just killing it on this project and I kind of brushed you off. And I just wanted to receive that and thank you. Because I do see how much effort and energy and like how much impact I created here. So just real simple, and go through 3 of them. And if you want to go deep, 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 look at your relationship with that person. That'll tell you a lot about how you receive from individuals. So not just with you, it'll tell you a lot about your relationship with that person. And so if we want to take it to that next step, you'll start to unpack the layers of how you do this with individuals rather than your standard either brushing off of compliments, or you receive them, but you're massively uncomfortable on the inside.
Yeah. Okay. Tiffany, we could talk all day long. I'm super bummed that we're toward the end of this episode, but I need to give our listeners the opportunity to find and follow you. So it's Tiffany Hauser on LinkedIn. Her website is evolveeq.com. We're going to put that and all the other ways to find and follow Tiffany in show notes. Thank you. This has been an exceptional conversation, and I'm actually kind of excited about, and I'm just going to call it bragging, even though I know that's not what we're doing now for the first time in a very long time. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you to everyone listening.
Okay, friend, how about we all start practicing promoting and celebrating ourselves today? You have gifts that we both know that you're meant to share. You have purpose, maybe many purposes, and you're here for a reason. I know for damn sure that you have value, and it's your job over anyone else's to stand for it. There are people who won't like you, who don't get you, who won't work with you, and who won't pay you what you're worth. Those aren't your fucking people. And in the face of those people, I challenge you to use my second favorite 4-letter word: next. Move on as fast as you can and go tell someone else about the awesomeness that is you. Unleash your confidence. Get it all over people. Go grab that spotlight and hold on to it. And while you're there, share it so other women can shine bright too. Be your own and each other's best hype person. And when you catch someone looking at you funny, let's just assume they're taking notes, because all of that is woman's work.